John.
Hi, Kat.
How are you, John? How are you?
Wow, you asked twice.
This is me asking how you are.
I like that. It means that you really care. And so now I'm going to tell you exactly how I am in all facets and aspects of my life.
Oh boy, this is a mistake.
Woke up this morning and I had
I'm fine. Thanks for asking. What are we doing here?
We are doing a podcast, I think.
We are. It's awesome.
Yes, it is. And
John, what? Huh?
The name, I feel, Karnak, what is the name of the podcast? It is the My Mistake Podcast, Kat. In fact.
Right again?
Mm-hmm.
And what do we do on this podcast?
On this podcast, we talk about our mistakes. We have guests come on and talk about their mistakes. And then we sometimes, once in a while, when we have enough time and enough energy, we do research and we tell stories about mistakes from history.
Those are the unicorn of this podcast.
They are.
We have not been doing those.
Those are the hysterical unicorns. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all exciting. What kind of, which of those are we doing tonight?
It's a hysterical mistork, Cat. Oh, wait. No, I didn't do any research. Did you do any research?
I did not.
Okay, then we better find a guest. Hey, Paul, are you available right now?
Hi.
Sorry if you didn't like that intro.
I suppose I am.
Oh, mistakers, we have a treat for you today. We have a returning guest, Mr. Paul Bellantoni. You have heard his stories before. He is an excellent raconteur. He is a lot of fun, and he has blessed us with his presence once again. Thank you for coming on the My Mistake podcast, Paul. Musician, artist, raconteur, coiffeur to the stars. So many talents have you.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to see you guys. I miss you so much.
Same.
We miss you too. You left us at a time when no one was allowed to hang out with anybody anyway, and now that we're starting to peek our heads out of our holes, suddenly your hole is so far away.
Well, yes and yes. yes and no. Yes and no. But once I get traveling again, I'll be seeing everybody on the regular for sure.
Excellent.
We look forward to that.
We do.
Yes. So you are residing in the metropolis of Nashville these days.
I am in the Music City, yes.
Yeah. It seems like all the cool kids are headed there.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. It's definitely a different experience, but I'm grateful for it. You know, came at a tough time, and a lot of beauty came out of it, and I'm very, very happy to be here. And you know, day by day, like all of us.
Amen to that. And happy Pride, by the way.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Yeah, like definitely feeling it this year. Like I feel a little bit more togetherness with the community. This was my jam for many, many years. You know what I mean?
This was your the gig time, right?
It was the gig time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Look forward to it most every single year. Open for a lot of really cool, interesting acts. But no, I mean, like, we're celebrating our fight for equality. We're celebrating, like, the Stonewall resistance, and we've come such a long way and still have so far to go. And I don't know about you, Kat, but like this time around, now that Pride's back, I am pushing LGBT history. Like it has to be taught, like in schools. People need to know. The younger generation needs to know where they come from. The fight that we fought.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%.
Kat actually did a hysterical mistork episode on the Stonewall riot.
Yeah, last Pride.
I think it actually aired in July because we were a little behind, but I'm telling on us now.
Well,
we are a podcast about mistakes.
Well, there are rando prides throughout the country, though, too.
That's
Sure.
true.
Yeah, Nashville's is actually in September, I found out. And Fort Lauderdale, as opposed to the Wilton Manor Stonewall Pride, is actually in February.
Interesting. So, yeah, I mean, like that's kind of fun. You could travel from Pride to Pride at different times of the year. I kind of like that it's not all synced up.
It's the best.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, we are so pleased to have you on the podcast, and I understand that you have some mistakes you're going to tell us about, because if you don't, then it's still wonderful to have you here, but it feels kind of pointless.
Currently recovering.
from an mistake.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we dip our toe in the water with that one then?
Okay.
Unless you have a different order that you wanted to talk about.
No, I feel like we should start with this because I think I should explain why I am in a lot of pain right now. And
Oh no.
I went to the chiropractor today.
Okay.
Can we just start by saying, like, isn't that always a fun experience? Like when you go to the chiropractor, because it's the worst place ever to make small talk with somebody. You know what I mean? Like, lovely doctor. Like, it was incredible. I'll get to why I was there, but it's just really funny when, you're talking about the weather and it's like, oh yeah, this weekend was really nice. Oh yeah.
I don't know. The proctologist is similar.
Oh, I wouldn't know.
I would.
I mean, yeah, me too. Well, yeah. Different reasons, perhaps. I don't know.
I know it's coming.
That's what he said.
Again, John, you could let some of them just go.
No, I can't, Kat. It's a problem. It's a real problem.
I wouldn't know myself.
Mm-hmm. But I'll be honest, I've never been to a chiropractor. It's not my jam. I just haven't done it. But I even know chiropractors who might even give me a deal, but I do not attend their services.
Well, yeah. I definitely needed it this time. I almost called you guys and was like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not feeling like really peppy.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, like it. Oh yeah.
But then, Paul, we wouldn't have had a show.
But no, I'm feeling like way better actually doing it because I had I just turned 40 in January, and
congratulations.
Thank you. I made it, right?
You did. We're
Nice
here.
job.
You didn't die, and you now have acquired quite a boatload of knowledge. I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Definitely came close a couple times over the years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You're
not living if you haven't come close to dying.
Life events, personal choices, mild execution. Like electrocution. That kind of thing. So I turned 40, and one thing that I really love about Nashville is that people are really into activity here and like outdoor activity. And I have been trying to get fit. I'm
right.
I'm single, ready to mingle, and I've got some music coming out, and I've got some tours going, and I'm trying to get, my health on,
Right. And we're going to be talking about all that toward the end.
Yeah,
here, for sure.
So I decided to take up rollerblading.
Oh boy.
Okay.
What's a gay man to do?
Well,
take up rollerblading.
Right. You have to, right?
There's the old joke, like, what's the hardest part of rollerblading? Telling your mom you're gay.
And what's the first thing a gay guy says to like anyone once they put on a suit? I got this.
I could totally kill this. I'm killing this.
Yep.
I'm like, get up there, you shake a couple times, and then it's like you're like Apollo Ono, like just gliding.
Nice.
Want to see me do a triple axel? You bet.
I do want to see you do
the Hamel Camel. How about that?
Oh my God. Yeah. So we had a musical friend in town, like our friend Joe Nago. Has Joe been on the podcast?
You will be surprised to find out that Joe is actually the exact previous episode to yours.
That's right. I think she was talking about it. And so she came down here. We did like a live stream together. And then, she's very fit. And we were like looking for things to do. It was a beautiful, sunny Memorial Day like weekend. And there's this beautiful park, kind of like the Griffith Park called Shelby Bottoms down here. And we went a skating. The first day we went with my best friend, Miss Alicia Skye, who is a very popular guest on this particular podcast.
She's been a wonderful guest.
Yes.
On the podcast.
We're
starting to show how incestuous our guest pool is.
Hey, funny people attract each other. So
that's correct.
So she had. I'm gonna spare that story, but let's just say something happened where I deserved a lot of karma because I laughed a lot at her, like a lot. And Joe and I decided to go rollerblading the next day, and I was feeling it. Like I got like my bearings back and like all this, just like swish, 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 like doing my thing. I'm like, I got this. I'll be doing rock walls and like I'll be one of those like healthy gays. I'll be a Stepford husband in no time, and like we'll get to that if you want to know what I mean by that. And
absolutely.
So I was coming up on like a bend, and ahead of me on a bike path and rollerblade bike path, and I'm not going to be a New Yorker about it and be like, what the hell were you doing on there? But like, what the hell were you doing on there? And it was a very, sensibly oblivious looking, I'm going to say Southern Christian family of three, walking very broadly in the bike path, very slowly.
Yeah.
I'm coming up. I decide to pass them, and as I'm passing them, a hipster on a bicycle, and I'm not going to say bike, I'm going to say bicycle.
Okay. Now I'm looking. I'm in my mind. It's a penny farthing thing with a giant front wheel and a tiny back wheel.
He would have rathered.
Yeah.
Or a unicycle.
But he's like, he's working with like a 1980s BMX, the kind that like shredded up our calves when we were kids. And he came up really quickly behind me. And then I had, the universe came down, the clouds went open, the sun came down and says, you have three choices.
Oh boy.
Mangled by a hipster. Careen into a Christian family and take them out like bowling pins, or be the good guy and eat it in the grass. And the funny thing is that it kind of reminded me of this, basically my life experience in Highland Park. And I felt like those were the daily choices I had to make, to be honest with you. So I took a dive, even though like in the sense of pride, half of me did kind of enjoy the potential fear that family might have had seeing the rainbow-clad North American grizzly in cutoff shorts and rollerblades coming at them and taking them out one by one. I know that trauma would have lasted forever, but never as much as ours. So
it's true.
So I ate it in the grass, and I thought I was fine, and then 40 crept in and said, hi.
Remember me.
I just have this picture of each of the 40 years hitting you like sequentially. Yeah. So and you get
so that put me out, and I was supposed to do like an art video and like all this. I was supposed to play and like things like that, and I just I had it was an interesting, derailing, existential, painful drama queen weekend of back pain, and like I went to the chiropractor, and now I'm here, and I'm slowly feeling better.
We're so grateful.
I am so grateful.
Did that you taking a spill, it sounds like that put an end to your rollerblading?
No, it will not. Like now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I'm ready to get back on them skates. I should also mention that when I did eat it, the sensible Christian family did not stop. No. They looked back and kept walking. Hipster dude stopped to make sure I was okay. My friend Joe said I threw a jazz hand as I fell, so that's pretty fun. At least I did it with some flair.
That's pretty fun. Some panache.
Now, okay, so all right, so you guys know, like, I don't know if like a lot of people know, especially because I play sitting down a lot, like at the show because I play piano. I am not little.
No,
I'm a decent sized fella, and like
you are not as substantial a mammal as am I, but neither are you to be sneezed at.
Well, and you're very tall, Paul.
Yes, I'm tall, and I've got some thickums on me, and so it was for the greater good that I ate it. But when I went down, girl, I went down. Because us big folk, we don't fall down, we fall over.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that gangly folks will actually throw a lot of limbs, and you'll see a lot of right angles. Like me, I just become like a hillock.
Yeah, there ain't no isosceles here, bitch. Like we're going down.
No.
I tumble low. But I always try to stop myself, which is you're not supposed to do that, right? Because that's how you really
like
you just got to go with it. just gotta let
You
let
roll
it go.
with
But
the fall, but you do have to protect your face. Always protect the
Well,
face.
yeah, but I also
Especially
learned.
one as gorgeous as that.
moneymaker.
That's right.
But truth be told, like none of us have really rollerbladed since we were like between the ages of like 9 and 14, right? So like, I will say that mentality like comes in where it's like that roller skate mentality where it's like, oh, I'm not going to get over that bridge. Just fling your body and like just get there and like hope
Yeah.
for the best.
I will have you know, I spent a good chunk of my mid-30s rollerblading up and down the beaches of Santa Monica and Venice.
Well, we're going to do that again when I get to California. Damn it.
Okay, I
skate.
think I still have my rollerblades. I'll see if they fit.
No, I love it. I actually really do. Like just trying to get like healthy and stuff like that. But it was like a really comical experience until the body started going downhill. Then
For
that
sure.
in itself was a comic experience because
Was it all over your body, or you said? I know you said your back, but was it like? Did you wake up the next day like you got hit by a train, or is it just your back that really? Bugged
no, I
you?
thought it was fine. I think it was like my shoulder and my elbow. But like of course,
Okay.
like everything that I do, let's take it to the
I'm
hand.
sure you play piano.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you need your shoulder or your elbow for that.
I know. I feel like you try to like sing like with that, and you turn into like that one character in Cats. That's just like what is it like abandoned and singing memories? Like the Judi
Sure.
Dench.
So
That's what I am at 40. I'm Dame
absolutely-
Judi Dench.
Yeah, that tracks. Frankly, that tracks.
Totally tracks. It checks out, Paul.
That checks out.
We've done the research, and it turns out, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I just joined TikTok recently, and one of the comments I got was I did a Pink cover song, and one of the comments was I didn't know.
Uh-oh.
This is a confessional show, and talking about the comments on TikTok, I'm just assuming this is going to be a confession.
So I decided to do Pink's Just Like a Pill, and I thought I did a really pretty version, and I'm actually going to put it out. But
I bet you did, and I want to hear it.
But someone commented, I didn't know I needed to hear a Michael Bolton version of that song, but I'm here for it. Like, Michael Bolton?
Here's the thing. Like, I'm mad at them right up until they say I'm here for it, and then it's like, well, okay. I mean, you at least appreciate the majesty of the performance. Right?
Oh, my mistake in life is like ignoring the fact that I am now, my gay classification has gone to another level. Like I am now into like the daddy bear world. And I mean, I at least deserve like a gift certificate to Chipotle or something like that for this because
I will say this about that. And that's that there is being a cishet white male. There are things that I am slightly jealous of in the gay community, and that is that people are really open about what they're attracted to, who they're attracted to, like, and people are attracted to not just one idealized version of a person, right? Because and I don't know, please correct me because I am ignorant. Correct me if I'm wrong. You got twinks, you got bears, you got leather daddies, there are many different kinds of people, and they all are open about what they're interested in. Whereas it seems like straight dudes all want like the supermodel, and straight women all want, like, I don't know, it used to be Brad Pitt. Now it's probably like Timothy Chalamet or whatever his name is. I don't know.
I kind of love him. But I love him because he looks like a Tim Burton character.
He does.
He
does look like a, yeah. Nope, you called it.
Yeah, I like Timothy Chalamet. I think he's deep. I think he's like, I loved him in Call Me by Your Name,
right.
And there's just something neat about, like, from a visual fashion aspect, like he's very, he's got something between James Dean and Tilda Swinton that I'm here for. You know what I mean? That like,
I see that.
and like I feel like Harry Styles kind of like grabbed that, but I think he's very cool, like from a fashion standpoint. But it's very interesting that you talk about that though, with like the classifications of the gay boys, because there is the Stepford husbands.
Oh yeah, let's hear about the Stepford husband.
Get into that.
That's me being like super shady. Like honestly, it's like, it's no offense to like anybody, but when you're kind of like the alternative art guy, who's playing live music in like, a world that is your safe space, but at the same time they don't necessarily completely accept you. And in my upbringing, if we're talking about pride and all that, like I think I talked about this in one of the last times I was on this. I was in a lot of women's bars because that's where I was accepted, and that's also where the music was, and we're talking like Ani DeFranco culture, and like, Indigo Girls and Beth Hart and, Melissa Farrick, and, a time in like the early 2000s where expressive women's indie rock folk music was like in a really powerful place. And
for sure,
I started like playing in bands with like some people like that, and I started playing there. So I either got coined a lesbian, a freak, like a punk, when I was younger, a hooker. But the Stepford husband thing is the like, you go to WeHo, and you see a lot of tans, a lot of, the same shirts, the same pants, the same shoes, the same haircut, the same, they're all incredibly gorgeous,
Right.
if you like that sort of thing, which is like, it's model beautiful, it's magazine beautiful. And you're not allowed in their club, straight up, until they come to your show, and then that's another ball
and then
game.
they want to be your best friend.
Well, not necessarily that, but it's like, then they see you. You know what I mean? But it's like, I always see you. So like, I'm throwing a little bit of shade towards that kind of thing, but like, it's maybe my punk rock angst of like how I had to, I came out as gay and a singer at the same time, and I was playing dodgy nightclubs in Fort Lauderdale, like, coming up through it. And, you want to find the men in your life, you know what I mean? Not just like romantically, but platonically as well. And like,
sure.
It's always like, like you're not this, you're not that, you're not the other thing, or
right.
you're a lesbian. I was called a lot, which was, I'm like, thank you.
So which coming out did you get the most heat for? Singer or gay man?
I came out in Florida, so
right.
it was probably 6 months before 9/11. So it was a very polarizing time.
Sure.
There was
George Bush was in the White House.
It was definitely a very polarizing time, and it was, I don't know, the whole millennium had like everything going in like a lot of different directions. And I like, I dropped out of art school, like I started playing the nightclubs. I met my music mom, a girl named Chuck, like we've talked about that before, Beverly McClellan. And it was, I don't know, there was something in the gay community during that time that had a special togetherness, and we were kind of like all hodgepodge together. If you weren't at like the main digs, but like I never really was, and I don't know. I think it just depended on who I was talking to or who heard me. I found that like as a singer, my strength was my voice, and my strength was like how I could connect with people, because I was very painfully shy. And people in the music world, like we're all entertainers. Like we all have things in the road that like we sing from our scars, and when I say we sing from our scars, it's not necessarily, if you're a singer, it's like whatever your craft is, like whatever you do,
Sure.
A lot of it comes from like we define ourselves from like our places of pain in a lot of ways,
that's where the growth comes from, right?
Yeah. And your mistakes, like step by step, like you learn from them, you grow from them. Sometimes you make them again, and you find yourself. I don't think one or the other was easier. I think life wasn't easy for anybody then. But I think the beautiful thing was the togetherness. And it was funny is that like right now I feel that energy of then.
Because of the
It's
pandemic with that same,
yeah, like when we
yeah,
saw the towers fall and our entire universe changed, like the pandemic had a lot of an effect on people like that.
sure.
And for creative people, and like we all know, and like through our trial and error of trying to get through this when we were crippled and obsolete for like such a long time, you had to find a way. And that's what the beautiful thing of the minstrel. You know what I mean? The beautiful thing of like the court jester, the entertainer, the vaudevillian, the
Hmm.
carny, the rock star, the major actors that like we always find a way, and we always, you know, take our misgivings in life, and we make beautiful things out of it, and we take like those beautiful traumas. Sorry, Pink, I know I stole that from you. And we we make something that can like create like a spark of joy from that, and like create some inspiration, and like in a room of like desperations and sullen heads like shaking their woes into their beer, like they hear something that tugs a heartstrings that makes them feel alive again. And like that's the beauty of like being like creative people. I think that's sometimes why we're so like a little bit damaged and bitter, like well, not necessarily bitter, but like we wear our scars on our sleeve. I'm definitely like that person. Like I have my major ups and major downs, and like
Mm-hmm.
um, we we find a way to like inspire from that, and like we fuel each other in
Yeah.
that aspect. It's our purpose.
That same
Yeah.
sensitivity that allows you to feel those things and then express those things, it also makes you so sensitive to damage. I mean, you
Yeah.
you can be hurt. It's and what I love is that artists I know who do continue to be artists longer into their lives, they develop that scar tissue and they move on, and they work from that the same way. Just exactly what you said. You sing from your scars. I love that phrase. That definitely needs to be a lyric at some point.
You never know.
And something that you said, Paul, kind of struck a chord with me when you said you were painfully shy during that period, but you were able to go up on stage and bare your heart and soul to a room full of mostly strangers. It takes a lot of guts to do that. That is so admirable.
um,
And I'm sure, as someone who was also very shy, especially when I was in my 20s, how did you were you able to use your singing to get through shyness? How were you able to grow every time you were on stage? Like, what was that experience like?
um, well, it all started with my idea of what I knew I wanted to become. And it started with Tori Amos, like straight up. Um, when I saw Tori perform for the first time, and then many, many times after that, the vulnerability, the anger, the epic control of emotion, like during her heyday, and I don't know how to put it. When I saw her perform, like for the first time, I was like almost like pointing at the screen, like that's me. That's me. And I need to be that. Like I had never seen anything that like channel that. Like even some of the great piano player. Well, maybe nowadays like I can resonate with Elton John and like Dr. John and like Billy Joel, Gavin DeGraw, like a lot of people, more Amanda Palmer. But like um, then it was her, and then with Ani DeFranco after that. Like I had before I had come out, I had, I was troubled. I was a troubled kid because I was in the closet, and I was so painfully shy and had serious depression and serious anxiety that like sometimes I couldn't figure out. Even when I would go to like friends' parties, like I would be, vomiting in the bathroom, not from the alcohol, but because I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't just stand to be in a room with
Nerves.
people, because I didn't have worth. I wasn't worthy, and yeah, like when it got to a point where I walked on that stage, and the funny thing is that I wouldn't have walked on this stage. I had two ballsy friends, like my music mother, a girl named Chuck, and I had my friend Tori at the time, and they dragged me on that stage to sing an Ani DeFranco song, sing Napoleon, and
such a great song too.
And it was the week after 9/11, and I had flown home from LA for the first time to see my best friend Alicia, and I was just like a range of things. I was becoming and defining myself as a new person, but I'm also from New York, and when I saw the towers fall, and like had family that was close there, and nobody knew what was going on, much like what happened in this last year, you just didn't know. Like your entire reality changed, and I've always had this piece of me inside of me that it's like, if it's not for me, then it's for somebody else, because like I had such a lonely, I didn't have the easiest coming up. You know what I mean? I was blessed with a beautiful family, but I was a fae in like many ways. Like I was feminine, yet I was also fae folk, a little witchy kid, and I also come from a multicultural background, and I was always on the outside looking in. And then we had to move a lot. We didn't have like a lot of money. I had much younger siblings and cousins. It was a lot. And well, it was isolating. And when I found my voice, which I didn't know I had, and it was that conjuring of like my character, like the Paul Bellantoni, I present, you know what I mean? Which is certainly not the one that I am. Like the person that like, well, it is, but like
it's a part of it.
It's a stronger. Yeah. It's my strength. You know what I mean? I'm
distilled and amplified.
Yes. Yeah. And when I sang that and like I let go of everything, and I realized that, you know what, I am gay. I am, and I'm proud of it. And I was surrounded by these people. It was a rainbow stage, for Christ's sake. Like I was proud of it. And I was like so astonished by these people and like how warm and welcoming they were. And like I evolved into like the artist I am, like from that moment out. And I knew that like my purpose, much like when I watched Tori and like her tenderness for Ani, like telling her stories, it was like each story is going to happen one step away along the road. And like sometimes it's not going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to be bliss. But I'm very raw with the emotional content of my music. And
yes, you are.
If it can help someone out there that feels like that alone, regardless of what age you are or anything like that, but like, it became my purpose. And I'm extremely proud of like where I've come from, even though like, I may not have like the accolade or adulation that some artists out there have, but I'm proud of what I've done, and I'm proud of the people that like I've connected with. I'm proud of the new music that's coming out, and it's just wholeness and love, like creating each other in a better way through our own damage, through our mistakes,
Amen. That was beautiful. Thank you, Paul.
I feel like that's a perfect conversation to have.
Yeah,
during Pride.
And yeah, I'm teared up, and I'm I feel privileged to bear witness and actually put this out in the world and let people hear it.
And Paul, a lot of what you just said resonates with me, and I know that there are people listening who feel the same way, because even though you and I had very different backgrounds and upbringings, you and I share a lot of the same experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And, especially feeling alone in a room full of people.
I mean, sometimes till this day. And it's, I mean, I don't want to say it's normal, but like, I mean, Kat, there's that moment, like where we see, like, even if we're strangers and like we see each other, like in a room, it's like, yes. I see you,
It's exactly it.
It's a funny thing that Kaylin, like when I was moving to Nashville, because if it wasn't for Kaylin, Chase, and Alicia, I wouldn't have come. And they, take a risk in life and start fresh and see what happens. And I'm very grateful for that. But I had a conversation with Kaylin about how a lot of people don't know what it's like to walk into any room, anywhere, grocery store, bar, restaurant, this and that. Look up and have to always size up the room and do like am I okay? Am I going to be too butch or too femme or too gay or is someone going to hurt me in this room? Because you already know that like someone's going to immediately judge you. You know what I mean? There's going to be that statistic or that percentage, I mean, even in a gay bar, someone's going to like read you or judge you or this and that. Yes, mama. Yes, queen, whatever, all that bullshit. And, Kaylin looked at me and he's like, well, what if you change your mindset and you say, I am okay? And what if you are okay? And that was like, whoa, yeah. And like, how about I command the room again? And like walk in and be like, I am okay. Are you? Do you want to talk about it? Because I've had a lot of those situations in my life too, as like an openly gay man. Because when I was out, I was out. There was no hiding it. There was no apologies for it. I don't require your acceptance or your tolerance because that assumes that I am lesser than. I demand equality, and if you want to talk it out, then we can talk it out. But that's what pride's about. It's still the fight because we are not lesser than,
Right. And we're still fighting today. Like the fight's
absolutely
definitely not over. But, it took me, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my early 40s. It took me to get to this age before I felt like I could walk in a room and be like, this is who I am. And if you have a problem with it, I don't give a fuck. But it took me this long to get there.
Yeah. And a lot of my strength as a gay person comes from gay women, because I feel like it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? The representation is not strong, I think, in like a lot of ways for, you were talking earlier about like twink and daddy and blah, 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 blah. And like, like all this stuff. It's like gay women are, I think there needs to be more exploration and more like discovery in like showcasing the dynamic of like the gay community within gay women themselves and like the strength and what gay women have done for the gay community over the years, because gay women have always been the backbone. They've always been like, the strongest fighters and organizers. It's a shame that there's wonderful representation out there for gay women, but it's still not as vast as other parts of the LGBT community. And that's, I feel like a disservice to the lesbian community, and
I mean, I agree, but it's definitely, it's better than it, obviously it's better than it used to be. You're starting to now see more butch women or lesbians, I should say, and more sort of androgynous portrayals of queer women on TV and films. But you're right, it's lacking. It's sorely lacking. And, the way those characters are treated in film and TV, it's rare that they aren't killed or, meet some sort of horrific end.
Or the lead.
But exactly. But we're getting there. Yeah. We're definitely getting there.
Yeah, Principal One, maybe. Yeah, a lot of this is in the revived EP and like the new songs that I'm working on. Worked on, are about to be like released, but it's a lot of our stories like tangled up into these like metaphoric bangers, as it were. definitely a little bit
Is that
different.
with a Z?
Yeah, it's a different style. Like it's I went there. I definitely went there with these. So
That's exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it.
well, I have one coming out on June 18th.
Yes, you do.
What a coincidence.
I believe it's called
It
Illusion.
is. It is.
Mhm.
Whence I got here. It was you know, it was a tough transition for me. Like I think I made the mistake of not embracing the joy, of it. And I was surrounded by some of my closest people, but I think I felt like really defeated and lost coming to Nashville because I felt like leaving LA was a failure. Even though like I'm still back and forth there, like we hadn't seen friends, we didn't know like what was going on, and it was being like pulled away. And like I had already done this once before with my Fort Lauderdale community, my family in New York when I was a child. Like it was a lot. And what happened? Well, also with John's wife and like our friend Nick and Kaylin Chase, we created an amazing album called Hi-Fi Americana, and we released it 3 days before quarantine. And
Yeah, there was one live show.
Yeah.
It was the last time we went out before the pandemic Iron Curtain
Yep.
slammed down.
Yep, that was the last live show that Leah and I went to.
That was
a
the last
damn
time
good
I
show.
hugged you, Kat.
I know. It was great.
I know.
Looking back, it was a great night.
It really was.
To kind of, we didn't know it at the time, but it was like great people, great music. Might as well have one more party before we have to go lock ourselves
Oh my
up
God,
for a
it's
year
true.
and a half, but-
I'll never forget it. And I hope we re-release the album. Like I definitely think it deserves a second chance. When we got here initially, we did a Christmas version of the album with Mr. John Fitzgerald played Santa Fitz.
That's right.
And
Yes, he
that
did.
was a really, really good time. And it was me walking back into the studio. But my mistake in like all of this was that I had no self-worth and no confidence. And I have been in the music business for 20 years. And like since I have come out, and I used to have like my own ageism like about certain things, but I'm 40 years old. I've lived my life. I've told my stories, and like this is where I am. And yeah, I didn't do great. Down to I did a cover of a Dolly Parton song, and I remember it was about to go into mixing, and like even in the last minute, I'm like, let me sing it again. Let me have like a second shot at this. And
This was for the Christmas
yeah.
album. Yeah.
And I just the vulnerability was like all too much, and like bad habits started like coming back into the thing. Like, I wasn't eating right. I was like drinking too much. I was doing all my things that I tend to do. And I remember it got to Thanksgiving, and our producer Zach Kasich and Kaylin came up to me, and they were talking about my previous album, Hallowed Ground, and how they'd like to revisit it. And then came the new songs, and it was really cathartic, rough, and strange. And one of the first songs that like really went into the fray was Illusions. And I have these habits of like writing little grooves and like this and that, and trying to like phonetically sing things. And I was realizing that Kaylin helped me like write the song, like, and help like build like the arrangements with it. And it was like, he's like, all right, you leave, write a song, and you come back. And so I sat with this song, and like the first line was always, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And in that, shit just got so personal. You know what I mean? It's like I had put my self-worth in other people in my life. Uber mistake, people. And I became...
You got to own that personally.
Yeah. And like I became very, very hurt, but I had to go through like the hurt of like, I'm so affected by this person not respecting my illusion or that person respecting my illusion, or like this life situation respecting the illusion that I created, for that. And like, I remember something that Alicia said to me, because Alicia is like a spiritual life coach and like works on that. And, she always used to say to me in like my darkest times, like, nothing is real. The universe is like all an illusion. And, we can manifest like what we want. And like, a lot of people follow that, particular path. And I kept thinking about that and thinking about what we do as like our own personal sabotage to like create these like false fairy tales and mirages and illusions that make us think we're happy, or make us think like we're going, the right way, where like sometimes certain situations can be toxic, or certain things can just be like draining, and like, you're in tandem with yourself, and like, living that, you have to break through it. And then I wrote Illusions, and it was probably one of the most cathartic experiences like of my life, especially like it was the first time in the studio where I was very alone. I was with just Kaylin and Zach, and a couple wonderful studio musicians that like came in, but it was like a very, very personal experience, and very, very isolated experience. And I just remember being very fidgety, very, very depressed, very like, I'm sorry to waste your time. Like, let me keep like going, like keep doing this, and doubting myself, and everybody's saying the same thing over and over again. Confidence, and somehow through it, I walked through the fire and wrote this damn song that I'm really proud of. And I hope that it really resonates with people. And I really, truly think it will. And
it will.
And yeah, like definitely coming out on the other side. But like, if I have any advice to say to like any artist that's out there, or any of it, fucking confidence, sell it. You're Beyonce, sell the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take your pain, channel it into your art, but remember, you're standing where you are because you're supposed to be there. And like the people there want you to be there, and you have a voice for a reason. Like this weird fucked up circus of a life that you may feel like you have is your purpose, and it's your story. And I think there's so many circumstances in like our pop culture right now where everything's always about the result and not about the details. And the story is so important. And if your your hits, your near misses, your glories, your tragedies, I just fucked up, like kind of thing. It's, it's all part of the beauty of the human experience. And that's a lot of what Illusions is about. And
it almost lines up with the fact that we are all about mistakes and what we learn from them, and what we do with them. And, I love that. I love how much that is aligned with our theme.
Yeah. And I love this podcast too. Like this has been like therapy, from down to, like talking right now to, hi, I'm Sarah McLachlan.
Well, we love having you on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I feel like basically we've just been sitting in someone's living room having a conversation. That was, this has been really nice to talk to you.
Oh.
And that's kind of my favorite.
Oh, I love you. I love you too so much. I love you too.
We love you.
Well, how y'all been doing? Tell me some mistakes.
Great.
Super great. I mean, like the pandemic's over, right? No, it's not. You're correct.
No.
It's not.
It is not.
And yet, we're, like I find myself starting to do things that I thought I would only do when the pandemic was fully over. But like being in a room with people who are not wearing masks.
Yeah, getting used to that, but also remembering it's like, okay, I'm vaccinated, so
right, and so are all of those people, and it's
it's like getting used to. I feel like I always wear my mask indoors, like, and I've stopped wearing it outdoors as much. But I always feel like if I just see someone in a mask, I'm like, I'm just going to put it on. I don't want to make a person uncomfortable.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or just basically walk around like with it and be like, I'm not a Republican.
Right.
No, I mean, this is the tough part. It's like we're all finding our comfort zones. We're all like, you know, I mean, and it's interesting because it's not consistent necessarily. I mean, Michelle and I we were like some of the most locked down motherfuckers out there in the world. And yet we are like, we're now like kind of springing out into the world. Whereas it's funny, some people who were taking more chances than I felt like we were during the pandemic are being a little bit slower to, you know, do some of the things that we're doing. I had a work gathering where it was outdoors, but it was essentially unmasked, and it was with like basically all of the people locally. Now my company has grown by like 8x in the last year. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah.
There were actually, there were, well, it's because we do
live streaming and visual events. Yeah. The bane of my existence that I'm so grateful for. But clearly in starting this, you know how good I am with sound.
Well, exactly. I don't know what you're talking about, Paul. But yeah, no, like, I mean, it was more people than were in the entire company before the pandemic slammed down that I was in the presence of in an area. And I was both really excited about it and also super freaked out.
Yeah.
To be
well,
close to a bunch of humans.
I mean, I mean, there is different level of comforts. It's like interesting that you met, because like when I was still in LA, what was there? There was a 4-week period where, okay, so a lot of people don't know. It's like, you know, indie musicians still have day jobs. I have been a hairstylist for many years, and
an excellent one. We miss you
and
here.
I thank you kindly. But there was a period of time where I had to work, and they had to do the, you know, you can't work inside, you can't do like anything like this, and it was, you know, not by any means frontline worker, but it was, you know, you put yourself out there, and it was scary, you know, because you didn't know or anything like that. And then like we moved to another town, we moved to the south, which has like a lesser population, but surprisingly, you know, we basically moved to the other Highland Park. But you know, you know, people were actually just as cautious here going home to Florida.
Little different, huh?
A little different. I'm more comfortable now to go to Florida now that I'm like vaccinated, and I actually want my first shows to be in Walton Manors. Like I very much, you know, having been over a year not playing live since the Americana show.
That's where you cut your teeth with live performance.
Well, it only feels right. You know, It only feels right to be back home and, you know, do that, especially with some of, you know, the amazing people like that. I've talked about my friend Carol and like things like that. Like I'd want to be there, you know, and then back to LA, of course, you know.
Sure. We will welcome you here with open arms.
Yay!
Yay!
Can't wait to actually hug you guys.
I know.
It's so good. Although I will say, like, I think a lot of people were kidding when they said they were going to be like long, weird, awkward hugs. I was not kidding. The people I've hugged have all felt it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I keep it just a little bit longer than you think I'm gonna, I guess, is what's happening.
It's amazing that we're going to be able to see each other again. It's amazing that Pride's happening. You know, that we actually, you know, we didn't lose ourselves in this, that we actually grew in a different way and like changed our vibration is really, that's a cool thing, you know, and I have a lot of faith in what the future holds, like right now. I do. I'm sure there'll be many rollerblading accidents.
Listen, any day where you can rollerblade and get into that accident is a good day.
Yeah, accidents, you know, drinking stories, sexual escapades, you know how it goes.
Yeah, I feel like you owe us a couple of those for the next episode.
Yeah.
But that's okay. This
we'll save it for the next one.
you were inspirational.
Aw.
Yeah.
Tonight.
This turned into something. I mean, really, John and I, we do this every week, Paul.
I know. I love you guys.
Can't get away
Doing
from
this
it.
for 2 fucking years. And, generally we know what we're getting into.
Yep.
And every now and then somebody surprises us.
Yeah.
And
sometimes pleasantly.
Sometimes pleasantly. And I didn't know what, I didn't expect the conversation that we had tonight that we would have it, but I'm really glad we did because it was great.
Oh,
and,
me too.
And thank you for being here and thank you for sharing so much of your heart and soul and opening up and being vulnerable, and that is really what John and I love about this podcast, is that we get to really see into people's hearts, and when people open up the way that you do, it gives me goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now talking about it.
Well, I think the people out there need to know, like, the kind of people that you two are. I know John and Kat personally, and very special energy. John, you know how much I love you, Kat. Like, I know in the last couple of years we've become like more friendly and closer, but you just know your own tribe. And like, if there was anybody that I would ever, honestly talk to and like really, share my truth with, it's definitely John and Kat. And, if you see these people on the streets,
you're not going to recognize us because you've only heard our voices.
True. But you can also internet stalk them and like wave really hard, or possibly give them a hug if things get better.
That would be great. That would be great.
I am a hugger. I'm not a weird hugger like John is.
I'm a super weird hugger. I mean, I'm telling you, you never know when it's going to end with me.
Oh, God, can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Again, thank you, Paul, for sharing so much. I even if no one listened to this podcast, like, I get so much out of it just because people don't have conversations like this, maybe under any other circumstances. So I feel like I get to know people in a way that I never would if we didn't have a show,
No, it's a damn cool show. And I'm always happy to share on here because it's a safe space. It's amazing.
It's more than safe.
Because you're coming back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Paul, tell us, where can we get Illusions? How can we procure this song?
So you can pre-save it now. It's available on all streaming platforms. If you go to my Instagram specifically, at Paul Bellantoni Music, you can find it via my link tree and do pre-saving on all streaming platforms. It's going to be on Spotify, Pandora, the Apple Music, YouTube, Amway, yada yada, like all that,
all the multi-level marketing platforms.
Yeah, and it'll officially be out on like all streaming platforms June 18th. And
right, which is 2 days from today, if you're listening to us on the day we drop.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes, and I'm super excited.
So, on that note, do you want to lead us in our signature sign-off? And
okay, I was curious about this. Do we still FMP?
Oh, we still totally FMP.
I
mean, it's
so hard.
Yeah, like so hard. I need people to know that Michael Pence, former is my favorite word in this phrase, former vice president of the United States, has moved to my childhood hometown in Indiana. He now lives in the affluent suburb of Indianapolis where I grew up. This does not make me happy. It does not make me happy at all. Exactly, right? So at the same time that his family's company has ravaged the ecological standing of my home state, my childhood where I grew up, he's moved to one of the more affluent areas of Indiana, and I'm sure that his Secret Service detail is annoying everyone around him, and so because of that, what do you think my response would be, Paul? Like, thinking about all that,
I'm going to have to say for 500.
Oh.
Oh, fuck MP.
Oh, fuck Mike Pence.
Fuck Mike Pence.
Fuck Mike Pence.
I also say no thank you when it comes to that though too.
Yes.
Because he's a total
Fair enough.
total bottom.